Welcome to another episode of Inspiration Inc. Today we are very lucky to have Lynda Weinman of Lyndacom here joining us for tea. So go grab your cup, whatever it's filled with, and come and join us for a few minutes of inspiration. Lynda, thank you for coming out on a Saturday to Ojai. You used to live here.
Yes, I did.
It's a homecoming for you.
It's a beautiful day in Ojai.
So tell us a little bit about what Lyndacom is for the people who aren't aware yet.
Sure. Lyndacom is a subscription service of videos, and it's a library covering all kinds of topics. So when you're a member, you can learn anything that you want on the site, and it's also on mobile applications. And we teach everything from learning how to do web programming, web design, PowerPoint. We have a lot of actually business courses now, things like how to interview for a job or how to negotiate a contract, how to run a freelance business.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we have about 9 different categories that we teach in, and mostly it's the software and technology skills, but it's also business and creativity.
Great. What's the mission of Lyndacom?
To help anybody learn these tools of the 21st century and really empower people to do what they want to do with their lives. It's hard to go back to school sometimes. And sometimes I think, when you have online education, which is what we are, you don't have to be in school and sit in front of a lecture. Maybe you already know what the teacher's saying, or you're interested in what they're going to say an hour from now, and you just have to sort of sit there. And what's really nice about online is that you can enter at your own level, and then you can learn at your own pace.
That's great. So it's a la carte too. They can pick and choose their own education.
Completely.
So you're liberating education in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that you can't do in the physical world, but you can do it online, where 2 different people could have 2 completely different learning experiences at the same time and space.
So what inspired you to start Lyndacom?
Well, I was a teacher. I guess the first thing that inspired me was I was exposed to a computer when I had graduated from college. They did not exist before I graduated from college. So I started with computers fairly late. But when I read the manual and tried to teach myself, I thought it was written for engineers and it was indecipherable, and it just, I kind of barreled through it, taught myself, and then I started to share what I was doing with other people, and they loved the way that I explained it to them, and I really had no idea that I liked to teach or I was a good teacher. And then that sort of just morphed into first a teaching job at university level, and then I opened my own school in Ojai.
I remember.
And then we started to record videos of the lessons, and then we started the online subscription service about 10 years ago.
How did you know you were onto something great? What was the moment?
Really good question, but part of, and I say this to a lot of young entrepreneurs too, that I got market validation right away. Now, I didn't think of it as market validation, but the first validation I got was that people wanted to learn from me. The second validation was when we opened the school, we were always sold out and people wanted us to do more and more. The third was when we started to create videos and books. People kept saying, what else are you going to teach? And so I think we got a huge amount of encouragement from our audience that they liked how we were doing it.
So the validation kept inspiring you to keep creating more for them.
I mean, the most common phone call that we get to this day is, when are you going to teach something that we haven't taught yet? There's an insatiable thirst for learning, and it's a great way to learning online, learning through videos.
Definitely.
And I'm very biased, but we pick incredible teachers and experts, and they're real industry, authentic, true experts. And we don't just pick people who are technical and talk over your head. We really look for people who know how to impart knowledge and how to really communicate. That's one of the keys.
And bring it down to a level that everybody can understand.
That's the point, right?
Great,
yeah.
Great. So was there ever a time where you thought your company might not make it? And how'd you get through that?
There were probably several times, but the scariest time was when the .com crash happened. And we had a school actually in Ojai, and we had people coming from all over the world and selling out these classes, and we had a staff of about 35 people, and all of a sudden the economy crashed, the .com bubble burst, and 9/11 happened, and then nobody wanted to travel anywhere. So it was very disruptive to that business, and I panicked, and I just thought, nobody's gonna want this anymore. But what was true was they still wanted it, they just wanted it in a different form factor. And we didn't realize when we were putting the lessons together as videos and then ultimately putting the collection of videos online that that was going to be the much, much bigger idea. So it took many years to figure that out, actually.
So a downturn led to the catapulting.
It was the inflection point. There's no doubt about it. And I say that to a lot of people who are worried about the economy today, that some of the best businesses come out of tough times as, you know, just inspiration. Mother is the mother of invention, right?
Completely.
It's limitations sometimes.
Completely. I always say it's the law of lack. You know, oftentimes when you lack something, you create it because it's needed.
Yes.
That's great. This is a personal question. What's it like to work with your husband on building such a dynamic business?
I mean, we're human, and we definitely at times have conflicts, and it took us a while to figure it out. To be honest, it was a lot harder when we first started. But I feel very blessed to get to work with my husband. This is actually my second marriage, and you know, I really know what it's like to have something to talk about all the time. You know, it's like you just have everything in common instead of maybe a few things in common. And it's also, because it's been so fast growing and so successful, it's been really nice to have a partner who's on the same page as you. They don't want things that maybe aren't right for the business, but right for someone else. And so it's just been really terrific to have a partner, and I'll add that we have really different skill sets, and we're very complementary to each other. I think when you do bring your work home with you and your partner isn't interested in what you're talking about, maybe that's a drag, you know, but for us, it's really fun. So I think that, I don't know if it's been exponential, I just think we sort of have a magical combination with the two of our different skill sets, and I know that Lynda.com wouldn't exist without him as it is today, and I don't think it would exist without me either, obviously, but I really think it's the combination of the two of us that's been magical.
You've only recently brought in outside investment, and you made big news with it. It was over $100 million. And can you tell us what it's like to bring in outside money for the first time?
Sure. Well, it's been really an evolution for us and an education for us, because when we started the company, we weren't really thinking about ever selling it or flipping it, and so we didn't. I guess we just weren't wired to think you need to go get investment to start it. We had a little bit of our own money. We started it with our own funds. And then we ran it, you know, ourselves without ever thinking we were going to need outside income. And so sometimes when you think you have to live within your means, you do live within your means. So we're very much of the mindset of living within our means. And we kept reinvesting the profits. We were profitable. We've actually never in 18 years had an unprofitable year. But we just kept putting it back in and back in, and so we were not greedy. And what started to happen once we started the subscription service, that was when investors really started to take notice of us, and they were pursuing us. We didn't really know why we would need the money, since we were profitable and we were, you know, sort of self-funding ourselves and sustainable. And I guess we really value our freedom and being able to create the business the way that we wanted to, without sort of any supervision of other objectives, and what we had, which was to make a really great product and really be able to teach people and share. So I guess what changed was that we have grown so big. We're 400 people now, and we have a lot of ideas that are beyond our means that we really never had before. And so we knew what we would want to do with the extra funding, and we felt like we had a big enough team to execute on it. And so the three areas that we're focusing on with this infusion of money are to expand internationally, to improve our platform, the delivery system, and to expand the amount of content that we're creating. So it's very exciting.
Can you give us a few statistics about how many subscribers you have, and where in the world, you know, you get the most views or subscriptions?
Sure. We have right now over 3 million subscribers.
Yay!
Now we have two different product lines. We have individual product line where anybody can go to our website, sign up, and become a member. But we also have an organizational level subscription, so that it can be a whole site license, can be just for a few employees. And that's where we really have the growth of numbers, because some of our installations are over 100,000 people. Wow. It's kind of amazing. Wow. And that product is the same core library that anybody would get by coming to Lynda.com, but we've added a few extra reports and abilities to track the people who sign up and assign the seating of who gets an account and things like that. So we had to build a little bit different add-on to it, but it's basically exactly the same product. So if you think about it, a company that's migrating from one version of Windows to another, they might have to normally send people to seminars or bring trainers in. It's far more cost effective. What's been amazing to me is 40% of universities in the United States have Lynda.com, have purchased it either for their staff, their students, or their teachers. And I'm really proud of that fact because, you know, there's a lot of conversation right now about online education and, you know, a lot of questions about the expense of higher education. And there are many types of businesses that are starting that are very disruptive to higher education. And I'm proud that our service is a complement to higher education because I really believe in face-to-face learning. I think there's so much value in having a real teacher.
Yeah.
But one of our teachers wrote to me and he said, you know, we just implemented Lynda.com at our school, and I had a student who has cerebral palsy come into my office tell me that she couldn't keep up with the lessons before we got Lynda, and that it was so helpful to her to be able to learn at her own pace and at her own level and watch something over if she needed to and slow it down, or we have closed captioning so you can read the text. So you hear stories like that all the time. It's really cool.
Well, that's going to keep you inspired.
Yes, it keeps everybody inspired.